And I think at that time I was saying, hey, in 21, 22 years, we're going to have more deaths than births in this country. And then it became 18 years. And then it became 17 years. The new math now is 15 years.
He's like, look, we're cooked unless something really changes. And we got to do something about this.
Because
demographics is destiny.
David Schwerk, I can't even pronounce his name, warns United States fertility rates have collapsed, which imperils Social Security, right? It's called demographics. Why do you think they're here? Okay.
David Schweikert.
Let's play a little bit of it, okay? And now let me go to what 1.25 is good for you guys. You guys want it faster?
1.25. My brain too slow. I only got 2 brain cells left. Don't burn them out.
Oh, okay. Stay off the weed.
The they that BGS Ibmore is referring to is the influx of immigrants, illegal or otherwise, depending on who you ask, into America. Although I rarely speak of politics, this actually is not a political issue, only one being spoken about by a politician. The migration of people across waters and continents for economic opportunity, among other reasons, is actually an economical one that the congressman here is explaining, but also can be explained by Francis Ngannou.
To people coming from Africa, which already are poor, it's not easy to have $1,000.
Right.
You know, maybe you never have it in your life. Many of us never have $1,000 in their whole life. But sometimes we are just expecting that they will miss us on their radar because they might have a ship in the water and they don't know there are fishers in the water as well.
So that's how you got him out of Morocco then.
After like 7 times, yeah.
With immigration being the hot button issue that it is, especially in America, what cannot be understated is that it is not just America that is importing new residents in large numbers. A look around various countries in the first world will reveal that it is many countries from Canada and America to much of Western Europe and yes, even Japan. Convenience stores that were once manned totally by young Japanese workers in recent times have become more and more run by immigrants. Surely this is more than just coincidence and happenstance.
I want to do sort of an update status on what's happening financially. And then I'm going to broach a subject that's really uncomfortable, and that's going to be talking about sort of the future. I'm going to talk about sort of fertility rates and what that means to being able to finance Social Security and other things. And for anyone that does not like math, please just go watch something on Netflix right now.
Representative Schweikert goes on to talk about a series of quote-unquote boring topics like Social Security.
The average will get about a $70,000, $72,000 spiff. So the money they pay into Social Security over their lifetime, the average will get about $72,000. Understand, that's a crap rate of return.
People don't understand. People don't understand institutions that they're in. If you're going to get 100% of Social Security, you are effectively poor.
If you had been able 20 years ago when it was being discussed, been able to take a little sliver of that money and put it in the market, you would have had a ginormous, I love that word, larger rate of return. Politics of that.
Government borrowing and interest.
My current math is right now about every 123, 25 days at the current borrowing per day, we're adding another $1 trillion. This is in a time where the economy is pretty good. That means if my average since functionally October 1st is right now, we're borrowing about $7.9 billion every day. Got to understand what that ultimately means to us because it's actually been accelerating. I think on Friday we set our all-time record. I think we were up to borrowing like $95,000 a second.
Ooh, my God.
We made this board a couple days ago and then it popped. So it wasn't $93,000, it was almost $95,000 a second. My personal theory is we do lots of crazy conversations around here because we're desperate to avoid telling the public or even ourselves the truth. Every single dollar you and I as members of Congress vote on is borrowed. Every single dollar we vote on is borrowed. And the way we're going this year, every single dollar we vote on is borrowed, plus 8, 9, maybe $1 trillion of Medicare.
Inflation.
Okay, let's use that entity. And then we adjust for inflation. Because remember, $1 the day President Biden came into office and $1 today, that dollar today is worth 22, maybe 23% less.
It's with this backdrop that my man JJ takes over.
Hello! Aren't you glad you got your fingers duty walking.
At a certain point, all the boomers are going to be in there trying to clamor. And then all of the Gen Xers are going to be up next. And there's going to be a push to say, look, we need to start making cuts. And the boomers are not going to want to make cuts once all of them are in there. And that's going to be in the next 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have the funds to fund those things.
There's two ways out, right? And we actually, they're probably going to do part of the one and most of the other one, right? Which is import people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm playing this.
And you see how the seats are empty behind them now?
Yeah.
In about 5 years,
they'll be
they're
full.
talking about this, it'll be packed.
They'll be packed.
Because you got kids dynamite doing the talking.
Like that's the type of thing that I'm thinking is long term. He's like, look, we're cooked unless something really changes. And we got to do something about this.
Because
demographics is destiny. Demographics is destiny.
We got a problem. And it's all something almost no one here ever talks about. We're not having children. United States fertility rates have collapsed. This number's wrong. It's our latest number for last year is not 1.64, it's 1.63.
Say it again, white boy.
France has a higher fertility rate than the United States. Even when you adjust for the immigration population, they still have a dramatically higher fertility rate. Most of Western Europe.
Say it again, white boy.
Do you want kids when you get older? No, I don't, actually. Well, I'm sure you'll change your mind. I believe I won't. Thank you. You don't want to, continue your bloodline? I don't care about my bloodline.
You know why? You know why they do?
Why?
Because the fertility rate that's increased is coming from Africa and in the Middle East.
Someone just told me to hurry up and have kids before it's too late. Too late for what?
No, us child-free women are not going to do that.
How do you and I set public policy so 25 years from now, remember, Social Security is substantially a pay-as-you-go system. Today's workers are functionally paying for today's retirees. The trust fund was the shock absorber. Trust fund is disappearing. But my future generation of workers is going to be smaller. And you're already seeing this in school districts all over America, where the number of students they have are shrinking.
That's why a lot of schools are closing.
Are we willing to have the really interesting discussion of, okay, are there things we could do economically?
That's the lie. It's not they're shrinking, they have shrunk, okay?
If there's ever a moment where I am reconsidering having kids, I'm just gonna watch that video. That's all I need to do.
Now we know the effects of what's going to happen with fertility rates when it finally catches up with us. That's what he's talking about right now. It's going to catch up with us sooner than expected. Because it's been happening, but nobody did anything about it. So all them say, I want to be child free, and they want to have kids, they want to get married, family formation, okay? All those millennials that thought they were high and mighty, I'm not going to have a kid, I'm not going to have a family, blah, blah, blah. When they hit 50, gonna come back and bite them in the ass.
I'm from Atlanta, born and raised, and I'm 20 years old. My body count, 27.
And I got some real crap that was sent to my office. And I think at that time I was saying, hey, in 21, 22 years, we're gonna have more deaths than births in this country. And then it became 18 years. And then it became 17 years. The new math now is 15 years. In 15 years, the United States will have more deaths than births. The blip you see here is the pandemic. But if you actually look at the line, you can sort of understand, and here's our crossing. Somewhere before, a little before 2040, which is 15 years, we have more deaths than births. Now try to stabilize long-term benefits.
Demographics is destiny.
You don't have to look around the world very far to see the issues of demographics are not just one faced by America alone. Growing numbers of countries are offering incentives for two types of people: women that are willing to have multiple children, and men willing to provide for and take care of said women and children. It is quite possible that we are in a new quote-unquote arms race. On the one hand, first world countries are competing for people who are more apt to have children from developing nations and form families, while at the same time hoping to spur a bump in the births of their higher income classes. And here is where the new quote-unquote arms race may be revealing itself, as more and more countries now feel the need to compete for well-off men who are willing to not only have multiple children, but provide for them on his own accord. The competition for said men may itself become more fierce.
So for those of us, I can find about 1.5 point of GDP to cut. Okay, so I got 1.5 over here. Let's say it's 1.5 over here in this end. This year so far, we're borrowing 9.6% of the entire economy. 9.6 of all GDP. And all the solutions are a fraction of that. Yet the left's going to come behind the microphone and say, we don't tax rich people enough. And the right's going to come in saying, it's foreign aid and spending. Well, foreign aid equals like 7, 8 days, maybe 9 days of borrowing.
Ooh.
Every dime of it. Why can't we just tell the truth? Madam Speaker Pro Tem, every dime of borrowing from today through the next 30 years is demographic. Every dime of borrowing from today through the next 30 years is demographics. Every dime of borrowing from today through the next 30 years is demographics. And maybe telling the truth gets me unelected, but damn it, it's worth telling the truth.
Ooh.
It's demographics.
While the latter part of the 20th century and the first 2 decades of the 21st century has centered around the autonomy and rights of young ladies to redefine the purpose of sex around pleasure and personal autonomy over reproduction, an age-old problem is reemerging: demographics. After several decades of young ladies doing as they please and choosing not to have children, the looming issue is, who will be the people paying into the retirement schemes so that these young ladies can retire? We're seeing growing numbers of countries come to grips with the need to solve this issue. And this need by several countries may be something that drives up the demand for passport bros even higher. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.